Guys, this could be it. This might be the reason why things aren't working out the way that you were hoping. There are some really sneaky over-spiritualizations going around, and I'm going to reveal 3 of them so that they don't trip you up anymore. And stick around to the end, because I'm going to show you how to discern for yourself if something is godly and true, or if it's just hyped up Christianese. This is our buddy Brick, and he's not happy. Right now he's picking up dog poo for rich people at the Villaggio instead of working in the field he studied for. It's a really competitive field, and the doors haven't been opening up for him, so he asks his friend what he should do. His bro says, well, just let go and let God, man. Just wait for doors to open up, because God will send the right thing to you. So he does that. He sends out a resume like once a week, maybe 2, and nothing happens. Meanwhile, his buddy Chandler wants to get into that same field, and he asks his friend what to do about it. And his friend says, well, you prayed about it? Yeah. Has God said anything? He just said go for it. Okay, I've done this before. Here's what you do. Send out your resume like 15 times a day and make 5 or 6 new connections on LinkedIn every day with people in that field. Create as many opportunities for open doors as you can. So Chandler does that, and it works pretty quick too. Meanwhile, Brick is still stuck scooping poo at the Villaggio. And no matter how much he prays and tries to flex that faith muscle really hard, God isn't just making it happen for him. So what went wrong? Why did things work for Chandler, but not for him? In this case, Chandler's friend gave him tested, experienced advice. Brick's friend was over-spiritualizing. In particular, he did something millennials have dubbed juking, taking a practical conversation and turning it into something spiritual. He didn't have anything practically helpful to say, but instead of saying, I don't know, let's go ask someone who's done this before, he juked it spiritual and made something up that sounded godly. And it didn't work because it didn't fit the job situation that Brick was facing. Over-spiritualizations can take many forms, but they all have one thing in common: an idea that sounds spiritual but doesn't match reality. Usually they start out as a good biblical concept, but it gets intensified and stretched out. Take a look at this thing that Paul says. Basically, he's saying that godliness is the most important thing, but it's not the only important thing. What Brick's friend did was look at this idea and go, okay, bet I can be even godlier than Paul. Hold my LaCroix. And he dials up the hyperbole to 11 and says, okay, all right, the physical world, yeah, that's just less important. It doesn't matter at all. That sounds super spiritual. It sounds like he's elevating God and godliness, but there's a reason why Paul didn't say it that way. It's not honest. The truth is an idea that matches reality, or as JMC likes to put it, it's what you bump into when you're wrong. So when we say things that sound spiritual, but they don't match the stuff that actually happens, we're not telling the truth. And that dishonesty can cause a major problem because, as we're about to see for Brick, things get much worse from here. Brick wants to have a girlfriend and get married someday, but it's not working out for him. So he asks his pastor what to do about it, and he says, oh, this is easy. All you need to do is read your Bible and pray. If you do that, that'll just make you into something that a good Christian girl will want. And then Brick goes, okay, that sounds simple enough. And he does that. Then he goes out into the dating scene and gets absolutely shellacked. The good Christian girls want nothing to do with him. They won't even make premarital eye contact with him, let alone talk to him long enough to ask one out. Meanwhile, Chandler, who's also a godly guy and has a better job, is getting a lot more attention from the girls. The girls go, godly guy, minimum wage, scooping poo, 6 figures. I don't want that life, I want that one, which is totally fine. But Brick doesn't know that's what's going on. He's confused and frustrated because the girls keep rejecting him and dumping him for seemingly no reason. And as far as he knows, the only thing he can do about it is try harder to get godlier. So he reads his Bible and stacks more chairs at the church, but the girls keep passing him up over and over for guys who have more of that meaningless worldly stuff than he does. This is what over-spiritualizations do to us. They cause us to fail and get stuck because they give us a mental map that doesn't match the terrain that we actually have to walk. And we're not done. It gets worse from here, because guess who shows up on Brick's feed? This gigabro. And he starts saying, yeah, you're gonna need a lot more than that, bud. You're gonna need social skills, status, accomplishments, success. You're gonna need to become something that adds value to a woman's life. And he's not wrong. It may not be spiritual, but she's gonna need those things to build the safest and best possible nest for her future babies. Come at me, feminists, I am not wrong. And if God didn't force Rebecca to go marry Isaac, he's not gonna force some poor girl to fall in love with Brick while he's living in his parents' basement just because he's a nice, godly guy. So Tate's right, that fantasy's gotta go. So Brick, armed with this fire of knowledge from his Prometheus Gigabro, goes, all right, guess I gotta buckle down and get to work. And he starts becoming something and sticking up for himself and being stronger, even if that means being disagreeable instead of the nice guy all the time. And wow, it works. The girls start paying more attention to him, but now we have a problem because Brick realizes something. Hey, wait a second. Who told me the truth? Was it the pastor who said the godly sounding thing? Or was it the internet heathen who said the thing that matched reality? Thanks to the internet, any dishonesty in our spiritual sounding talk will be found out at the speed of meme, and trust will go right out the door with it. His pastor is helping him live a godly life, but he gave him a map of how things should be, instead of a map of how things are, which is useless. Gigabro is giving him an accurate map, but he's telling him to do selfish things with it. That doesn't mean the map is bad, but it does put Brick in danger, because his pastor over-spiritualized and didn't tell him the whole story, so it's tougher for Brick to trust him. And now he's in danger of following someone else down a path of sin that will separate him from God. We need both godliness and brutally honest, accurate maps of reality. But to figure out how to get them, we gotta go back to Brick's story one more time, because there's one more juke he's about to run into. Brick goes on social media and sees Chandler and all his friends who are married now and showing off the highlight reel of all their accomplishments, and he starts to feel anxious. So he talks to another friend who says, oh, well, yeah, you're just anxious because you just don't trust God enough. You just need to wait on God's timing for those things to happen for you. Bet you've heard that line before. But that over-spiritualization shows us the thread that runs through all of these. They train us to think that God doesn't work through the normal, that he only works through the spiritual and the miraculous. But that's not true. Yes, he could snap his fingers and just make all of that stuff happen in his timing, but most of the time he wants to work through the ordinary and the normal. You've got all kinds of skills and tools and resources that God's given you through ordinary means, and it's up to you to use them and do the work that will make things happen in the ordinary world. And honestly, praying for things that you could get if you got off the couch and tried is lazy, not godly. And it's boring too. Ask God for things that only he can do. That's exciting. And for the record, Brick isn't anxious because he doesn't trust God enough. He's anxious because Instagram is lying to him. When he sees all those things his friends have done, it's telling him that there's this standard of achievements that you have to get in order to be a real godly man. And every time a picture scrolls across his feed, it rubs it in his face that he falls short. But this is where God has something for him that Gigabro can't help him with. With God, there is no set of achievements that you have to reach in order to win his affection or his presence or his care. God loves Brick and you exactly where you're at right now, and that will not change. That anxiety is there to tell him that there's a lie that needs to be found and corrected, just like all these other bad maps. And no, God doesn't want you to be a loser. He wants you to be happy. He wants you to be fruitful and multiply, and he wants you to be successful at the things that he's called you to. But if we have bad mental maps, that ain't gonna happen. We need accurate maps and godly destinations for them. And to find those, you'll have to discern for yourself between spirituality and hyperbole. And here's how you do that. If someone's giving you advice or an idea or explaining how to do something, ask yourself this: does it match both what we see in the Bible and in the ordinary world? When we properly understand it, the Bible will fit everything that we see happening in the world around us, and it will help us understand it better. If someone says something that sounds godly, but it doesn't match what's actually happening, check what the Bible actually says about it, because there's a pretty good chance there's a misinterpretation somewhere. It has to match both. If it doesn't, then it's probably not the truth. And the truth matters more than sounding spiritual, because there is no lie that honors God, no matter how godly it sounds. So there you go. That's how you do it. But what if the Bible doesn't talk about the issue? How do I know who's telling the truth then? For that, you'll need wisdom. And to find out more about that, check out this video right over here. And before you go, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time. Stay weird, brother. Peace.